go ahead and get started. Before you jump in, Jimmy, let's see if anybody has a quick deal or anything they brought. And then, Jimmy, I know you got a couple of talking points for us. Anybody bring a deal today or a question of any kind?
Mary didn't bring a deal, but Mary has a question.
Go ahead. Why are you in the third person?
I don't know. I was looking at a CSP with an AE the other day or this morning. So what I want to know is clarification when you take a look at FPN and you have a bankruptcy in there. What is the difference between a bankruptcy appearing as a dismissal versus a discharge, and how would it possibly play into funding?
All right, so really, really good question. One of them is kind of a deal breaker and more problematic than the other, but if someone, and remember guys, I'm not a bankruptcy attorney, so this is not necessarily a legal answer, but this is the funding answer. If you go through or if you initiate the process with the court and then for some reason you don't finish the process, then sometimes your case can be dismissed rather than going through the entire process and then being discharged. So dismissed meaning there was a filing and none of the debt was resolved, discharged, or whatnot. So therefore, in the eyes of a lender, that money that's owed to creditors is still owed in a dismissed environment. We would not approve someone with a dismissal, but we approve people all the time who've been discharged. So then if you go through the bankruptcy process and it goes through the entire court process and you complete it, and now your debts that were included in the bankruptcy have been kind of wiped out or discharged, you're issued a discharge by wherever the court is, and then you're now kind of, starting all over again, and you kind of can move forward, so to speak. But a dismissal doesn't relieve or release you of the debt, whereas the discharge does.
So, can I ask what creates a situation where someone that has been through a bankruptcy program would be DQ'd versus the options that are available where someone on DQ could potentially work through one of the processes that you guys have right now, or that we have, I should say, to work with a client in that respect?
Yeah, I think it's another good question. And also that answer is a little bit of a moving target that's currently kind of behind the scenes being maneuvered right now. So in other words, our FPN algorithm up until now has been a little bit more restrictive to applicants who have had previous bankruptcies. So just as a kind of, quick little history lesson there, prior to a few months ago, we only had one or two bankruptcy options available through FPN, through our kind of automated FPN underwriting process. And those required you to be at least 7 years out of a bankruptcy. And then a couple months back, we added a 2-month option, or excuse me, a 2-year option. I hope I said 7 years. 7 years. We added a 2-year option that had some other requirements associated with it, in the algorithm, but it allowed for certain people that were 2 years out of bankruptcy to get pre-approved through our FPN algorithm. I've told you that we wanted to move that down to 1 day. I think we're going to move it down to 1 year. And not 1 day, as we're kind of working through that behind the scenes. So to answer your question, Josh, we'll end up having, right now we've got about 3 of our 35 offers in FPN that allow for a bankruptcy. We're getting ready to add 1 or 2 more here in the next week or two that will drop some of the criteria to allow for people to be as little as 1 year out of bankruptcy and possibly get approved through the automated process. Remember, if you have somebody that's 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 years out of a bankruptcy and they were not approved, kind of automatically, you're still more than welcome to go through the reconsideration process and ask us to reconsider, a automated DQ and say, here's what the reasons are, why we should reconsider this. But we are, less than a week or two away probably from adding one or two more offers that will allow a few more people or some percentage of people that have bankruptcies to now be pre-approved, kind of through FPN automatically versus you having to do the reconsideration process. So Josh, you might be looking for a few more details on that. I would say let us table those details until we roll out this next one or two offers that we're adding, and then it might be a little better discussion. But as of today, we have one offer that will approve people that are 2 years out of a bankruptcy if there's a 620 FICO score and $85,000 of household income, as well as a couple of other pieces of the algorithm kind of hurdles that need to be overcome. And then we do have a couple of other offers that are actually a little bit less restrictive, but they require you to be 7 years out of a bankruptcy. Either way, those are we're going to be getting ready to add one or two more options that will be a little bit more flexible.